Hi BookTube, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with a weekly reads video. This is for week number 32 and it is August the 8th through August the 14th. I finished 5 books this week, you guys, and 2 of them were NetGalley books, which is fantastic. The thing is though, from my original August TBR that I posted, back at the end of July, only one of these books was actually on my August TBR. I've been doing a lot of, I don't know whether you call it mood reading or what have you, just because, the beginning of this month was horrific for me. It was a very, very bad month so far, like it was at the beginning of the month, and I think I just needed to kind of do what I wanted to do in terms of my reading. And now things are like back on track, so I'm very happy about that. I enjoyed the couple of weeks of just kind of being flittering around, picking up what made me happy kind of an idea. And I think every now and then you need that. Even though I am a very structured TBR reader, I still think that I needed that, bit of flitting from, because at one point I think I was reading like 5 books at once. It's like whatever was catching my fancy. So anyway, in this video, of course, I'm going to talk about those 5 books that I did finish. So if you want to jump ahead, timestamps below. I will remember to put them in this time. I did not remember last week. Apologies for that. I will also then, of course, talk about what I'm currently reading. And then I will be showing you guys some crafting. I actually got some knitting done this week, which was fun. So, I'm still grieving. I'm still sad. Don't get me wrong. But, I'm starting to get back into normal for me, I think. So anyway, let's get into the 5 books that I finished this week. So first of all, cheers this morning, guys. McDonald's coffee with my pumpkin spice creamer from International Delights. Delightful. Still too early for the pumpkin spice from Starbucks, if you people from Starbucks are listening, because I just have this feeling the pumpkin spice latte is going to be released by the end of August, and it's just a little too soon for that. Just a little too soon. Anyway, into the 5 books that I finished this week. So the first book that I want to talk about, I debated on even, like, when I was first reading this. Last week, if you watched my weekly reads video, I talked about the fact that I was doing, like, a secret project. I was reading some books by an author, and I was going to vlog the whole thing and then kind of post that vlog. So that was my original game plan. And then I mentioned I haven't talked about what book this is or who the author is, because this is outside of my wheelhouse. This is outside of, my assumption is that this was outside of my comfort zone. And I think part of the reason I was doing this was to show that, even though you like these kind of books, like these are the kind of books that you're drawn to, there's nothing wrong with stepping outside of what you perceive your comfort zone to be every now and then to read something else. And that's what I was doing, because I'd heard a lot about this book. A lot of my friends on BookTube who read the darker romance were really, like, there were mixed reviews. Some people really liked it, some people didn't. And I follow a girl on Instagram who read it. She didn't particularly love it, but it really wasn't her cup of tea. It's not what she normally reads. But this part of me was just like, give it a chance and see what you think. And the main reason was because this author does write, or did at one point write, for Category Romance. So, and I think a lot of people who read her now are surprised to find that out. Like, they delve into her backlist, but, maybe they're not seeing these books because they're really far down in the back. I don't know. Because it wasn't that many years ago that she wrote for Category. She wrote for the Dare line. So this should tell you, this is clearly much more an erotic book. So without any further ado, you guys, the first book that I finished this week. So yeah, so what I decided to do was that I know you're all like, originally, like I said, I was going to do a vlog. And then I realized I wasn't going to get to the other 2 books till like way in September. So that vlog wouldn't go up till the end of September. And I'm just like, I just really want to talk about this book now. So now, without any further ado, the first book that I finished this week, you guys, wait for it, Neon Gods by Katee Robert. I read Neon Gods by Katee Robert. And guys, even more surprising, I gave it 4.5 stars. I loved this book. It was so, so good. Oh my gosh. So, this is, a lot of people are like, this is a dark retelling of the Hades and Persephone story. The Hades and Persephone story is already dark. You don't need to add the word dark to the Hades and Persephone story, in my opinion. I studied Greek and Roman mythology in high school, And I love reading stuff like this. I actually, I don't think I've ever read a retelling of like any of the Greek myths. I just kind of stuck with, or the Roman myths. So I just kind of stuck with, you know, the originals essentially. And the Hades and Persephone story has always been one of my favorites. So that's, I think, what really drew me into this one and to wanting to try this one out and see what I thought about it. And so essentially what I really liked is the way Katee Robert kind of recreated Olympus in a way. Like, it was very much like world building in a way. You know, Olympus is not like up here in the sky and then, you know, the underworld is like down below, right? It's like they give you actually a map at the beginning of the book. So you got like this big like country, for lack of a better word, that's split by the river Styx. It's been so long since I've studied this stuff that if I mispronounce any of these things, I apologize profusely. So it's cut in half by the river, and then you have the upper city, which is what we would consider to be Olympus, where you've got Zeus and Aphrodite and all the rest of the gods, and then you've got the lower city, which is what Hades rules, right? But they're human. They're not gods. They are personifications of, at one point, these were the gods. And then when one of them dies, then someone new is elected, again, for lack of a better term, to become that embodiment of that god. Or it's passed down through your lineage, essentially. Like, Zeus got it from his father, and Hades got it from his father. So at the start of this story, Persephone is kind of being surprised. She didn't know that she's now engaged to Zeus, and Zeus kind of has a habit of killing his wives. That the last 3 Heras have all ended up dead, and Persephone is of course terrified, so she takes off and leaves this party where it was a surprise announcement. Her mother, Demeter, is that how it's pronounced? I think so, pushed her into this. Now that's the one part of this aspect of the story I didn't like. Now she does, spoiler alert, she does become a bit better towards the end, but I didn't like the way that she was portrayed, because I always consider her to be the Earth Mother goddess. You know, she's all about helping women, helping mothers, you know, grains, harvest. She's in, you know what I mean? Like, and she just that very Earth Mother type aspect. And in this story, she became a very dark character. So I'm not sure how much of that I appreciated. However, it did work with the story. So Persephone is pushed into marrying Zeus. She's like, it ain't happening. So she leaves this party, and she ends up getting chased to the river. And only a handful of people have actually successfully traversed the river. And she does. And Hades is on the other side, and he kind of rescues her. So then he takes her to his place, and, you know, they kind of strike up this deal where, you know, if Hades, how do I put this politely, ruins her, big quotation marks on that one, for Zeus, then Zeus isn't going to want her back, but it's all got to be very public. So it essentially becomes a very sexual relationship. This book is extremely spicy. And that wasn't my issue going into it. That wasn't, I don't have a problem reading the spicy stuff. It doesn't bother me. What I don't think a lot of people who read the darker romance understand is that I think that what they perceive to be, and I'm trying not to generalize here. I do apologize if people think differently. But when you look at something like a Jill Shalvis or a Penny Reid, you know, you think, oh, this is a nice, like, this is a sweet, sweet romance. It's not. Penny Reid goes there. Penny Reid is explicit. Jill Shalvis can get explicit. Read the Heartbreaker Bay series if you don't believe me. A lot of historical romances are the same way. So my perception was that Katee Roberts not just went there, but went there with whips and chains. I don't know how else to describe this. But I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't go there. There is some stuff that would borderline be a bit more taboo, if you will. But in terms of, and I don't want to, please don't take offense to this, what you do behind closed doors with your partner, absolutely your business. And if it works for you, fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, you know, as long as everyone is consenting and as long as everybody is having a good time, enjoy yourself as far as I'm concerned. However, the more mainstream, quote unquote, I'm using a lot of quotation marks in this, I do apologize, the more mainstream steaminess, like what you would find in a Jill Shalvis or a Penny Reid, I was expecting more towards the 50 Shades of Grey type of steaminess, spiciness. And it kind of stepped over the line a little bit, but really it wasn't nothing. Okay, let's put it this way. It didn't shock me. It didn't shock me. And I've read a lot, but I don't read a lot of dark romance, but this didn't shock me. So, you know, I kept waiting for something to happen between the two of them steam-wise that would make me go, oh my goodness, you know, like, right? But it didn't. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of, and I liked it. So I do want to go on and read. There's going to be another, I think there's going to be 2 more books in this series. So I do want to go on and read the next couple books. From Katee Roberts, I also want to read the 4 books that she published under the Dare line for Harlequin, because I'd like to see what she did there. And then there's another series that she wrote, like a Next Door, Right Guy, Next, I can't remember the title of the book, but it's part of a series. I want to read those. The ones I don't think I'm going to go and read from Katee Roberts are the ones that I was assuming this book would be more like, and that's her Taboo series. They get into a bit of kink that I'm just not interested in reading about, and that's fine. However, I have read the author, and I really like her writing. So, you know, I can now say that I've read Katee Roberts. I like her stuff. So I won't be reading the Taboo series, and I probably will not also be reading the Disney Villain series, mainly because I'm not a Disney person. You know, like, I know that really has no interest to me. It's very creative, and I think it's fantastic what she's doing. Clearly it's working, and a lot of people seem to like it, just not for me. So anyway, big ramble on. That was the first book I read this week, you guys. I really liked it. If you can handle the very higher end spectrum of the steam level, check this one out, because I really think you might enjoy it, especially if you're a fan of Greek and Roman mythology. The next one that I finished was a dud, unfortunately, you guys, and that was Just One Kiss by Traci Hall. This I gave 3 stars to. This was a NetGalley read, so thank you to NetGalley and Entangled for sending me an e-art copy of this one to read and review. It's the second book in the Apple Tree Cove series. Publication date January of 2020. Oops. Like 18 months ago. This is a contemporary romance, and I did listen to it on audio. It was narrated by Lauren Ezzo. So I had high hopes for this one, guys. Look at that cover. Is it not adorable? So I was expecting a really cute, really sweet, small town contemporary romance. And that's what I got. It was cute. It was sweet. It was a contemporary romance that takes place in a small town. However, what I didn't care for was our main character, Grace. So the plot of this story is that she needs money. She just inherited her grandmother's house on this beach in the Pacific Northwest. But the back taxes have not been paid. She owes like $30,000 or something like that. So she's trying to make money. She's a photographer. So she's trying to get these pictures of like these, at the very beginning of the book, of these robins. And this guy named Sawyer kind of runs into her site. They get into a big fight because he thinks she's photographing him like she's paparazzi or something, because he's like big famous guy. But what he is he's like a famous dog trainer, and there was a big fallout from his last breakup that kind of really pushed him into the spotlight. So he needs to kind of reclaim his image, if you will. And anyway, they end up working together, and, you know, they end up becoming friends. They're, of course, end up being next door neighbors. And this new dog rescue place that he's starting, she just so happens to be his new secretary. So clearly they're all being completely thrown together in this small town. But people kept trying to help Grace, like, and not just, oh, here's a handout, but like legit trying to help her. And she's like, no, I can do it myself. She was very, very, like, I don't even know how to describe it. I didn't like her. I just didn't like her. And I am a very character-driven reader. Like, I really have to like the characters. The plot can be great. Don't get me wrong. You need a good plot. However, if I'm not jiving with the main characters, there's a problem. And that was the case in this book, unfortunately. So I do want to go back and read the first book in this series because, again, it wasn't anything to do with the writing. The story structure was great. The plot was really cute. It was just Grace that I really didn't like, and that really took it down to a 3-star for me. So like I said, I'll go read the first one. and I'll see what I think about that one. Because unfortunately, this was my first book by this author, but I would like to try more from her to see what I think. The next book that I read was A Call for Kelp by Bree Baker. I gave this book 4 stars. This is the 4th book in the Seaside Cafe mystery series. This book was published originally in May of 2020, and it, of course, is a cozy mystery. So I will talk more about this coming Wednesday, I think. Yeah, the 18th. Over on Nicole, over at Who Picked This Book on her channel. I am part of the live show for this one. Suffice it to say, 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. This is such a fun, cozy mystery series about a girl named Everly, and it takes place in this small town on the Outer Banks of the Carolinas called Charm. She has these 2 eclectic aunts who run this store where they have like it's called Blessed Bee, which I love the name, and they make like, you know, bee related or pollen related or honey related, like lip balms and face creams and, you know, all these things, right? And it's delightful. So they're pretty much going to be doing it. The plot of this one very quickly is that they're going to be doing a documentary on bees and how important they are to the ecosystem and all those things. And they have this very famous woman who used to be, well, she was a movie star, famous many, many years ago for some film called Blackbeard's Pirate. The way they described her, that character's name is Mitzi. The way she was described in my mind, I kept picturing, what is her name? Carrie Fisher, who played Leia, of course, in Star Wars, right? That she was famous when she was younger for this trilogy of movies, and she was, do you know what I'm saying? That's who I kept, and now, of course, she's older, and, you know, she's kind of out of the limelight, but she wants to do the voiceover for this documentary. Spoiler alert, happens in the first chapter, she ends up getting killed. And then they have to solve the mystery from there. It was really fun. I mean, as much as you can say a murder mystery is fun, but these really are absolutely delightful. I love them so much. If you have not checked out this series yet and you're a fan of cozies, you really, really need to. Bree Baker is the pen name for Julianne Lindsay, who also writes for the Harlequin Intrigue line. So, and she's written a bunch of other series. Apple Cider Mysteries, and then there's the Christmas Tree Farm Mysteries under a different name. I think those are under Jacqueline Frost. She writes under a bevy of different pen names, so do check her stuff out. Her writing is fantastic. The next one that I read was a Babysitter's Club book. This one came in from the library. As I've mentioned, I'm now putting these on hold from the library, and then when they come in, I pretty much read them right away within a day or so of them being available to me, because there are long wait lists on these, and they're a quick read. I can read these in like an hour, you guys. So I read them, and then I send them back for the next person to borrow. So the next one that I read was Jessi and the Awful Secret by Ann M. Martin. This book I gave 3.5 stars to. It's Babysitter's Club book number 61, and its publication date was February of 1993. This is, of course, a middle grade fiction novel. This one delves into a very difficult topic of anorexia. So Jessi is a ballerina, and she's at her ballerina school, or her ballet school. I took ballet. I should know these things. And for many, many years, I took ballet, you guys. Fun fact. And there's a girl in her class who is not eating. She thinks she's fat. Of course, she's not actually fat, you know. And the story, that's pretty much the plot of the story, is that Jessi's trying to figure out, you know, she's trying to talk to this girl herself, being like, what are you doing? Do you need help? Should we talk to somebody? And the girl getting angry at her. The girl passes out in class a couple times. So finally, you know, Jessi actually tells the teacher that I think that there's a problem. So, and that's the kind of the plot of the story. But it's very, very interesting, especially for a book published in 93, to delve into a topic like this. And I thought it was very, very well done, which is why I gave it 3.5 stars. So yeah, generally the stories about Jessi and Mallory, who are the 2 younger babysitters, aren't usually my favorites, but this one I really did like a lot. And I thought it was really well done. And then the last book that I finished this week, excuse me, cheers guys, was The Texas Seals Surprise by Lynn Webb. I gave this one 4 stars as well. This is another NetGalley book, so thank you to NetGalley and Harlequin for sending me an e-art copy of this one to read and review. This is book number 1 in the 3 Springs Texas series. It is Harlequin Heartwarming Novel number 388. This has a publication date of September of 2021, so it will be available online I don't think you can get it in bookstores. I don't think the Heartwarming line is sold in bookstores, but you can get it online in September, or if you go on the Harlequin website now, I don't know if it's available on Mills and Boon, I apologize, but if you go on the Harlequin website now, you can get a copy on ebook or on print book. So, vastly different from the first book that I finished this week. This was a sweet romance. There was nothing more than hand-holding and kissing in this book, and it was delightful. I will delve to the darker, more spicy side of the meter every now and then, and I enjoy my time over there. It's fun, but I will always gravitate back towards the sweet romances. It's what makes me happy. So, this one is the story of Abby and Wes, and Abby has come to the town of Three Springs, Texas. Her cousin lives there, and they are reopening their grandparents' general store. So she meets Wes on her first day when her car breaks down, and he rides her back to town on his horse named, what was the horse's name? Dan. I love that the horse's name was Dan. Dan the horse. And so they kind of strike up a friendship, and she is pregnant. She's pregnant from a previous relationship when she left California and came to Texas, and she knows she's pregnant. It's not a surprise. But the two of them kind of strike up this friendship, but they're kind of like, they banter quite a bit, like almost like I wouldn't call them enemies, but they definitely butt heads with each other throughout the book. She's trying to obtain a job on like the city council for planning events in town because she wants some stability for her and her baby. And it's really cute. The relationship between the two of them is adorable. What I love is you got so many glimpses into other characters in this town that I am just itching to read more books in this series. The author set it up so well for more books in this series. There is a great group of older people, one guy named Boone, a guy named Sam, and I can't remember the woman's name, but the three of them are like the town matchmakers, and it's delightful. It is delightful. If you love a sweet romance, you need to check this one out. Lynn Webb is a great author. I've read her before, but this one was so much fun. And I buddy read this with Bree, my co-host on the Categorically Romance podcast, as well as Aaron over at the Book Broad. I will leave link to his channel below. He's doing a great hashtag my category journey, where I think every week or every so often he posts a vlog of him reading a category romance book. And I believe that this one he's vlogging as well. So don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I think all of us really like this one, and it's a definite recommend from me. So what am I currently reading, everybody? I can close this down now because I don't need it anymore. So what I am currently reading on audio, sorry for the glare in my glasses, is An Endless Cornish Summer by Phillipa Ashley. This is a standalone novel. It's a chick-lit novel. I talked about this one very briefly on Friday for my Friday reads. I'm about 30% of the way through it now. I did get, sorry, that's driving me crazy. I did get a little bit of reading on it done over the weekend, and I hope to get a little bit more listened to today while I'm editing this video. And it's really cute. It's about a girl named Rose who ends up having this bone marrow transplant. And then she goes to the Cornish coast for summer because she's an archaeologist and she's going on this like dig. And she, while she's there, she's trying to find the man who donated his bone marrow to her so she could, of course, live. So that's kind of the plot of the story, but it's really cute. You're meeting this great little cast of characters in this little Cornish village, and it's delightful. There is, of course, going to be a romance in there, and I am really enjoying it. I had planned on finishing this next book yesterday, but that didn't happen. I am that close to the end. I think I have like 80 pages left. So today I will be finishing Texas Redemption by Brody. This is a standalone novel. I talked about this one on Friday as well in my Friday Reads video, and it's a Texas historical romance that takes place in Texas after the events of the Civil War. There's kind of a lot that goes on in this, so I'm not going to get into the whole thing about it. However, I will talk about this one next week because I will, like I said, this is getting done today. So I will talk about this one next week in my weekly reads. So, yeah, we'll have it done. I am enjoying it. I have to say I am enjoying it. However, spoiler alert for next week, the romance in this one is lacking a bit. However, the story itself is really good. But if you're reading this for the romance, I'm not seeing it personally. But I'll make judgment when I finish the book. And last but not least, today I do plan on starting another Harlequin book on the Gloss app, and that is Second Chance Love Song by Jessica Lemmon. This is the second book in the Dynasty's Beaumont Bay series, which is a series that takes place about this group of people who live in Nashville, and it's very much country music. I love it. I've read the fourth book, but now I'm going back to read the second book. So if you love country music, you might want to check this series out because it's been so much fun. Now, the Desire line does get a little bit more steamy, so do keep that in mind, but they are still really, really fun and really short and quick and fun reads. I absolutely love them. So I will be starting that one today as well. So last but not least, let me show you guys my crafting that I have done over the last few days. So the first thing I will show you here is my shawl. So I've gotten quite a bit of work done on my shawl over, because I think it's been a couple weeks since I've showed you guys any of my crafting. I have cross-stitched. I have cross-stitched a few cross stitches, but nothing to really show you guys. So hopefully maybe I'll get back into that next week. My knitting mojo seems to really be here right now. So that's what I've been doing. So since the last time I showed you guys this, that's where I was the last time, is where that little marker is. So that's how much I've gotten done. So as you can see, I've got the second color fully in this shawl now. This is the Free Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry. I will have linked to the pattern in the description box below. But I love, like, when I first looked at these two colors of the yarn, I was like, how are they really going to meld together? But they melded together quite well. I am really, really impressed. I'm liking it a lot. So, you know, we're going from this color to this color, and then the third color will be this color. So that's going to be the 3-color shawl. Oh, I meant to show you guys at one of my older ones. Do you want to hold on just a second? Yeah, just hang tight just for a second. I'm going to go grab one of the ones I've already knit so you can see what the whole thing will look like at the end. I'm just going to scooch back a little bit because this is big, and I'm trying not to run over the cat who's sitting behind me. But this was my first Free Your Fade. So you can see how big it is, you guys. Like, this thing is huge, right? So where did I start this one? I'm trying to remember which way this started. Oh, okay. I think this was the beginning. So this was color number 1, melded into color number 2. This was more of a gradient than something that faded from one color to another. So went into this one and then finally ended with this color, I think. Yes, that's the way it goes. Yeah, okay. So I love this. Like, it's big, right? Like, but the brilliant thing is, with Canadian winters, this is absolutely perfect for underneath your coat to keep you warm. And that's why I want them in many different colors. Like, I have this one in the shades of purple. Sorry, let me go a little bit closer. So I have this one in shades of purple. I have one that is blue and silver. And then now I'm going to have one in kind of more fall colors, like that burgundy and gold colors. So yeah, I legit want to knit one of these in like every color of the rainbow. Like, it's so cozy and so comfy. And it also, like, it just looks pretty. Like, I could wear this, what I'm wearing right now, with a t-shirt and still just have this around my neck. And it's perfectly acceptable. You know, let me just back up again a little bit here. So yeah, so that's what it's going to look like at the end. And then you have this like bind off. It's called a picot bind off, where you do like these little things at the end. So yeah, it's really, really pretty. And my end is coming out. I should weave that back in. But yeah, I really, really love this. So that is what I'm working on right now. And then the other thing that got a lot of love over the last few weeks is my sock. I found the sock really great for just sitting in front of the TV at night doing some knitting. So this is a long, like, I really went to town on the leg. Like, that's how long the leg is on that, you guys. I think it's 8 inches. I did, because I like a long sock. Like, if I am wearing a pair of socks in the wintertime, I want something that's like coming up my leg. You know what I'm saying? So this is where I was the last time I showed you guys my little Peeps stitch marker right there. Isn't he cute? So this is what I've gotten done. So I've added in the heel, right? And now I'm working on the foot. So I am almost on the foot. I think I have another couple more inches to go, and then this will be done. So there's going to be the sock. That's what it's going to kind of look like. The pattern on this is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's called the Blueberry Waffles. Is it Blueberry Waffles? I can't remember the name of the pattern. I think it's Blueberry Waffles. I will leave link to the pattern below. Again, it is free for anyone else who's a sock knitter. It's a really, really easy pattern. It's like you do 2 rows of just knit, and then you do 2 rows of 2x2 ribbing. So knit 2, purl 2. And then, of course, it gives you directions on how to do the heel. I do my own heel, the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is a $1 pattern on Ravelry and worth the dollar in my opinion. Every pair of socks I have done have had this heel. It's easy peasy to do, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, so for the leg of the sock, I'm doing the pattern the whole way around. So there's like the front of the sock, and then the back of the sock has the same pattern on the back. But for the foot, I'm omitting the pattern. So you can see it's just knit stitches on the bottom of your foot, because you don't want to be walking on like bumpy, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I am loving it. This yarn is gorgeous. This was gifted to me by a, what's the word I'm looking for? A knitting podcast. The North Star Knits, I think is what it's called. And this is Knitted Wit Sock is the yarn. And it's Paxi is the colorway. And it's an 80/20 superwash, merino and nylon. So usually if you knit socks, you want a nylon base in it because it really gives it some good stretch and it helps it wear a little bit better. Yesterday I was out with my mom and her friend Dolores, and Dolores is like, well, what do you do with all these pairs of socks? I'm like, I wear them. But the brilliant part is that I have like 30 pairs of socks now, which means I can literally wear a new pair of socks every day, and they wear out less because you're not wearing them as often. Like, you know, if you're wearing a pair of socks once a month, you know, I could get years out of them before I ever actually have to like darn up like a hole in them or something like that, just from general wear. I have lost a couple of pairs of socks, very sadly, to nails. Like I at our old apartment, that between the kitchen and the living room, there was like, the kitchen was linoleum and the living room was carpet, but there was like this like piece that stuck, you know what I'm saying, like, right? And I guess one day I wasn't noticing, and there was like not a nail but a piece of plastic or something sticking up, and my sock got caught on it and ripped. So I tried to fix it, but unfortunately I just couldn't salvage it. So it was a very, very sad day. I hate losing a pair of socks because in that way, because it's like a tragic accident. Because like I spend like months knitting these for them to, you know, for that to happen to them. So anyway, that's it, you guys. I am rambling now. I'm just sitting here in my cozy shawl. And so on the back of that door, I have all kinds of hand knits. I've got hats and shawls and all the things. And I think I want to start, a part of me really wants to start another sweater. So we shall see. It's getting into the fall, and I think the knitting is really what drives me in the fall. And I'm in the mood for to knit another sweater. So we shall see. But anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about and what you thought about them. And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.